Hi friends, good morning to all of you. And we are back again to discuss about the major problem that we are facing, that is the declining of the biodiversity, the disappearing of the forest and the wildlife and so on. And we already saw the factors that are responsible for the decline is human beings ourselves. And so what we can do is that we start loving them, we start respecting them, then we will not think about destroying them. So that is the only solution. We have to develop that feelings of love, feelings of respect towards the nature. Let us see in detail what can we do, or who is responsible, or what is responsible, and so on. So please take your textbook, page number 18. You will find the phrase class on this page. We start from the right on the top. So habitat destruction. Habitat means place of living. So we have destroyed the place of staying for the animals, and that has become one reason why these animals are becoming less and less. Then we also go for hunting. Another reason why the animals have become less, decline, is because of our attitude. We are hunting or poaching or over exploitation. Sometimes we do over exploitation. We overuse. Example, we use the land again and again, or we do the mining, we extract the minerals and so on. So those things are taking place over and over, and that is affecting the existence of animals and wild species. Then poisoning and forest fires are factors. Other things that are responsible is poisoning. We poison the land with the fertilizers, pesticides, or even the water is getting poisoned because of the chemicals that we mix and the waste that is going from the factory. Then we are also causing wildfire. In the forest, sometimes wildfire is taking place, and all the species in that is dead. Animals are dead, trees are dead, even the flora and fauna, everything is dead when the wildfire takes place. Then all these are responsible. So what are the actions or reasons responsible for the decline of wildlife and the natural flora and fauna? We say habitat destruction, hunting, poaching, over exploitation, environmental pollution, poisoning of water bodies, then forest fires. These are the reasons responsible for the destruction of or the decline of the flora and fauna. Then other important causes of environmental destruction are unequal access. So there are also some other reasons are there for the decline of wildlife. What is that? One is unequal access, inequitable consumption of resources, and differential sharing of responsibility for environmental well-being. So we know the resources are not equally shared among all the human beings. Some are getting it more, some are getting it less, and so on. So because of that, some people are rich, they are able to possess more lands, they are able to do more mining, and so it is unequally distributed. And the responsibilities are also not given much. Those people who overuse it or exploit the forest and other resources, they have very little responsibility of taking care of the forest. They just exploit it, but it is very often people who are living near the forest or people who are dependent on the forest, they are the one asked to protect the forest. They are the one blamed for the destruction of forest and so on. But actually it is done by other industrialists, business people who go for hunting and so on. Then overpopulation in the third world countries is often cited as the cause of environmental degradation. So there are some countries who are already developed like America and so on. And there are some countries, they are in the process of developing countries. And there are some other group of countries which are called underdeveloped countries. So they are called third world countries, underdeveloped countries. So very often the rich countries, they blame the people of the third world countries, underdeveloped countries. They are the one destroying the forest. They are the one destroying the environment and so on. Actually it is just the opposite. It is the developed countries that are using the minerals more than all. They have more industries. They have achieved more development at the expense of the poor. They are the one using more resources. The poor people, they are just satisfied with their daily needs, but the rich country, the rich people, they use more and more. So they pollute it, but they blame the poor people. That is the situation taking place in the world. For example, let's say an average American person, he consumes 40 times more resources than an average Somalian. So, if you compare two people living in the world, one in America, one in Somalia. Somalia is a poor country and America is a rich country. So, a person who is living in America, he is using the resource 40 times more than a person living in Somalia. So you can imagine who is responsible for pollution. So American is using 40 times more, not 1 or 2 times more, but 40 times more. So that is much higher than a poor person or a third world country is using. So ultimately we know who is responsible for the pollution that is taking place. Then similarly, the richest 5% of Indian society probably cause more ecological damage because of the amount of they consume than the poorest 25%. So it is not only happening in America. Even if we consider within India, we will realize that in India only 5% of the people are rich and 25% of the people are very poor. Others are just average or moderate. So we can see that 5% of the rich people in India, they are consuming more resource than the 25% of the poor people. So the poor people are using very little resources. But those 5% of the rich people, they are using so much resource more than the 25% of the people. So who is responsible for pollution in India, environmental pollution? Is it the poor people or the rich people? So it is the 5% of the rich people are doing more harm to the environment by consuming more resources, by polluting the environment and so on. So, but when the blame comes, they blame the poor people. But actually, the rich people are responsible. They are the ones exploiting the nature, exploiting the resources and so on. So, the former creates minimum responsibility protecting the forest, protecting the environment and so. So they want more and more resources for themselves, but they don't want to take up the responsibility of protecting the environment. That becomes the responsibility of these poor people. The poor people, they use very less, but they are made to take up the responsibility of protecting the environment. So that is the situation going on in the world, where there is a difference between rich people and the poor people. The poor people are suffering more and more. The rich people are taking the advantage, but they take very less responsibility. So that is the situation in the world. And let us see a little GK. Do you know that over half of India's natural forests are gone? So, if you look into India, the forest that India has, the natural forest, the trees that were grown by itself, half of that natural forest is already destroyed. Already the trees have been cut, the land has been occupied for some other purpose, for mining, for agriculture, for industry and so on. 1/3 of its wetlands drained out. So India had a lot of wetlands, the area that remains wet always. So that there the forest trees were growing very well because of the availability of water and so. So 1/3 of that area is gone. That is converted into land for agriculture, land for industry and so on. Then 70% of the surface water body is polluted. So the out of the total river source that we have, 70% of the water bodies that we have been polluted. They are polluted. So that is a great danger that we are facing. We have only 30% of the water unpolluted, clean, pure, and 40% of its mangroves wiped out. So 40% of the trees that were grown in India that are already cut down. And with continued hunting and trade of the wild animals and commercially viable plants, thousands of plant and animal species are heading towards extinction. So, in spite of all these wrong things that are happening in our country, still people are not ready to take the remedial measures. The hunting, the poaching, everything is going on. In spite of the knowledge that our wild animal species are getting extinct, getting into endangered level, still people are looking for their own comfort, their own needs. They want to enjoy hunting, they want to kill the animal for money, for meat, for hay, skin and so on. So forests are destroyed, and water bodies are polluted, animals are getting hunted. So the situation in India is very alarming. So we need to make ourselves understand. We need to convince others about the need for protecting these species. Otherwise, we are going to be very unfortunate without the presence of this precious species. So if we don't take care, if we don't value them, then we are also part and partner with this crime of destroying the forest, of destroying the animal species and making our land less privileged. And our future generation will have no idea about this rare species. So we need to preserve them, protect them and so on. And the destruction of forests and wildlife is not just a biological issue. So we destroy the forest, the wildlife, it is a very serious issue. The biological laws is strongly correlated with the laws of culture and diversity. we destroy the animals, it is not just destruction of biology issue alone. It is also part of our culture, part of our diversity. So we can be proud saying that we have got this many species are there. Our land is rich in culture, rich in diversity and so on. But if you destroy them one by one, how can we take pride in that? We should be ashamed to say we had so many species of animals and plants. Now we have reduced them to such a few in number. So it will be a shameful thing for us. It will be a very, we should be ashamed to say that. And such losses are increasingly marginalized and impoverished many indigenous and other forest dependent communities. So there are many people, many tribes are there who are living very close to the forest. They completely depend on the forest for their livelihood, for their food, for their social activities, their culture, and some of them, even worship the trees. So it is even part of their religion. So we are destroying these trees, we are destroying the forest, we are destroying the animals, so we are destroying our culture, our spirituality and so on. And we are depriving some of the human beings from that. And so some people depend on the forest for their food, for their drink. They collect fruits from the forest. They get the water from the forest stream. Then they get medicinal plants from the forest. They practice their culture. Their culture is part of the forest. They are living their life very close to the forest. And their spirituality, as I said, some of them are worshipping the trees. So if you cut down the trees, even their spirituality is affected. And within the poor, women are affected more than men. And we know in our society, especially in the poor society, the women are more affected more than men. Women are affected. How women are affected? Because it is the duty of women, or women's responsibility to collect water, to collect firewood and so on. So if you pollute the water source, they have to travel miles and miles in order to find a water source, clean water source. So some of the places, women, they have to travel so far distance, morning onwards they have to go walking to collect some water for their purpose, to meet their house needs. So it is the women who are suffering more. Men may go and work outside, but the women, they have to search for water, they have to search for fodder. If they have cows and other animals, they have to search food for the animal, they have to give water for the animals, and other needs like searching for firewood, or that women are doing. That's why we say women are affected more than the men. Then if these resources are depleted, if these resources are becoming less and less, what happens? Then we are making the women struggle more. If water is nearby, then women's work will be so much less. If the forest is nearby, women can go and cut grass and other things from the forest and give to the animals. So their work will be much less. So it is said some women have to travel more than 10 kilometers in order to fetch clean water for their house. And this causes serious health problems for women and negligence of home and children because of the increased housework. So when women have to travel 10 kilometers in order to carry some water, you imagine how much time is lost for that. They may be able to bring one bucket of water, and that time the houseworks are pending, cleaning house, cooking food, looking after the children. All this work will be pending. They will not be able to do those works. So it is because water is not available nearby, or the available water we have polluted it. So we are making the women to struggle, and in that process they are not able to do their daily tasks, essential tasks at home. So we are making them to suffer. Their health becomes weak, walking daily so much of distance every day, and that makes them very weak in health as well. Then there is also a lot of indirect impacts are there because of this destruction of these natural resources. So sometimes we know droughts are taking place. There is no enough rain. It is because of cutting down of the trees, polluting of the atmosphere, and so increasing of the carbon dioxide. All these help to increase the droughts. Or sometimes we see too much of rain and there will be floods. And the people's field is affected, life is affected, livestock is affected. So sometimes drought, sometimes flood, all these because of human activities. And when these things happen, who are the people affected more? It is not the rich people. It is the poor people who are affected more. Therefore, we need to take care. We need to take extra care in order to provide or protect the environment, the resources, natural resources, and so on. And poverty in these cases is a direct outcome of environmental destruction. So when the poor people are affected by flood or drought, their cultivation is affected, they become poorer and poorer, all their crops are failed, and therefore we are bringing poverty upon ourselves, especially upon the poor people. The rich people may be able to manage, but the poor people will suffer, and that is all because of our human actions. Therefore, we need to take care of the environment. We should desist from destructing the environment, and instead we must have a very good decision, good determination in order to protect the environment. Instead of destruction, we must protect the environment, the wildlife, the forest, and so on. And if you do that, who is going to benefit from that? We ourselves will be benefiting. Our earth will be richer, our land will be richer, and we can be proud to say that we have got this more species alive in our land. Otherwise, we will be becoming poorer and poorer in matters of the wildlife and the species, wildlife species. So let us make a promise that from our part we will try our level best not to destroy anything. Even if it is only a small bird, let us not destroy it, but let us keep it so that one more species will be alive on this earth. Same way the trees, let us take care of it. We may think that this tree is useless, but it will have its own role to play in the nature, to improve the nature, to improve the environmental condition, and so on. So the little help that we give, the little love that we show towards the animals and plants, that is going to help ourselves, that is going to benefit each one of us, that is going to make our earth richer. And so we shall not shy away from our responsibilities, but let us do our level best in order to make our environment richer, make our earth richer. So we shall wind up for today, and the next class we shall see again what can we do in order to conserve the resources, the wildlife and the species, the flora and fauna and so on. So thank you for listening. Have a nice day.